I'm a Swiss living abroad, meaning I'm not living in Switzerland, but I'm a Swiss national, which means even though I'm living in the US, about 4 times or so a year, I get an envelope like this to let me vote, participate in what is happening in Switzerland. And so today I want to talk about voting, which is a topic I've never talked about it, but I'm a huge fan of voting. Now, why am I such a huge fan? Because voting is kind of unique to democracies. If you think about, you get to vote if you own share in a public enterprise. I'm as a Microsoft employee, I'm also a Microsoft shareholder, so I get to vote on certain things. However, in the business world or in enterprise world, my vote counts as many shares I represent. There was always this story that my dad or comment my dad would make, which is if you have the big Swiss banks having their shareholder meetings, there's like a group of people in the front, they matter. The rest in the room is there because they want to participate or want to see what's happening. But that group of people represents the majority of shares. And so if there will be like something you can vote on, they will be like, okay, who is in favor of? And if that group of people agrees with, that represents the majority of the shares. In democracy, it's different. In democracy, my vote counts as much as any of the other Swiss votes. It's not depending on how much tax I pay or not. It really is depending, just each vote counts as one. And that's what really excites me. And I think it is cool if you have the opportunity or if you're fortunate enough to live in a country where you actually can vote, get to vote, and can direct to a certain extent in which direction the country or your nation that you're part of develops into the future. Now, let me show you a little bit of what is in here. So, there is basically what's also the license for me to sign. And if I turn it the other way around into the envelope, it basically is going to have in the same window now the address of the place where it needs to go. Then there is the envelope where I actually put my votes in. I get this booklet which would say this is for the 25th of September, the votes that we do. It shows me that we're getting to vote on 4 different topics. And inside, I'm gonna film this here with my smartphone and then add this for you. So inside you basically have an index like everywhere. You would have a short overview, like this is short. What are we talking about? What do they would like to do? Then I have the actual questions I'm voting on with yes or no. Here is what the Congress and my presidents recommend. And here is the recommendation, obviously, of the people that started the initiative. And then here I see actually how many people in the US, this would be the Senate and the House of Representatives. Besides the arguments of the people wanting, I also get then to basically see what is the actual wording that would be changing in the legal documents. To me, this is real power. This is real opportunity to decide in which direction we're going. Now, the sad thing is that voter participation, and that is in pretty much all modern democracies. I wouldn't say all because I didn't check it all, but I know it's an issue in the US. I know it's an issue in Switzerland. You go in the browser and you just go, let's say, google.com. You can use any search engine you like. And I say Switzerland voter turnout. Let's just look for turnout and see what it does. Here is the BFS is the Federal Statistic Office of Switzerland, so let's see what they say. Let's go to the source of it all. And again, obviously, each one of you feel free to do your own research. So at a glance, look at here. They actually have a poster for 2022. So the voter participation over the last 5 years has been at 48% averaging. And then for the National Council elections, for example, it was 45. So just shy of 50%, between 45 and 48. If I look at voter turnout United States. Here we go quickly to Pew Research. That is, for what I know of, a reliable place to go to. This is now for the year 2016. As you can see, they actually compare all the countries. So we actually see where it is an issue or not. But if I go down here, 100% is all the way to the right. And I see Germany is at over 60%. That I think is pretty good, close to 70. United States is kind of low, and Switzerland trails. We have at least, what's the golden point? Not of voting age populations, but of registered voters. So there is, I guess, our 48%. Imagine for a moment I'd be a political consultant and you would want to run for office. And I would take a lot of time in understanding the demographics of who is voting, who isn't voting. And then depending on what your ideas are, I would see what demographic group this would resonate most with. Now, everybody's day is 24 hours. No matter how much money you are, it doesn't matter if you're politics or if you build shoes, it's 24 hours a day. That's universal for all of us. Now, to get enough votes, we obviously need to scale out, right? We're not going to be able to shake thousands of hands. So we usually talk to association or to unions and union leads and see, hey, let's just take an example, teacher unions or any union for that matter. This is what we like to do. They may say, oh yeah, sounds interesting. Can you please adjust this or that? And then we would support. And then that union would tell its members like, hey, dear members, we believe that that candidate is the right candidate, so you should vote for them. Now, they can't guarantee me the vote, obviously, because each member of the union can vote whatever is on their mind, but they help me scale the outreach. They help me to get my message across. They now advertise to me where I don't have to touch each person individual. Now, if we just take Switzerland as an example, theoretically, if 48% is voter turnout, I need 25% of Swiss voters to vote for me, because 50% of 48 is 24. 25% is already a majority, which means if I get 1 in 4 Swiss people to agree with my agenda, I can actually win. So I actually don't need to spend time to convince all Swiss people. All I need to do is spend enough time that 25% of voters think I'm a great candidate. And that's scary to me. That is like sometimes, like, how is that possible? So technically 25% of Switzerland made the decision that the other 75% have to live with. Of these other 75, 23 participated in the vote, voted no, but the rest didn't even cast their vote. Which is interesting because everybody, don't matter where you go, everybody's going to have an opinion of what went wrong, what the government screws up. Like, we all have big opinions on a lot of different things. But how can we have these opinions when we don't even vote? And I know there's stories, my vote don't count, and there's challenges around voting. But for those that can vote, please cast your vote. We had votes here, I think it was for the school district that needed more money or something like this. And it also had a relative small voter turnout. This was very local, not like a federal. And I think it was in the 30% or something like that. But it was crazy for me that if you have 30 something percent, if it's 30 people that voted of all the people eligible to vote, then 16 or anything over 15% is the majority. And then all of a sudden we live in a country, in a county, in a city where a relative small number decides the direction. And not because they're evil, not because they're wrong. They may have a different opinion with me, but it's not. It's because so many others can't take the time, can't take the action to vote. In Switzerland, I think it is super easy. Again, even for me living abroad, it's super easy. I sign this, I send it back, they count my vote. Simple, straightforward. And I know other places, other challenges. But if you have the opportunity to vote, if you live somewhere that accepts your vote, I want to encourage you today. Cast that vote. There's really almost nowhere else where your vote is equally counted to everybody else's. And it's really up to each individual of us to participate in the government, to hold the government accountable. And if all of us would vote all the time, imagine the accountability we could drive. And obviously it's very different if you want to convince a large group about going to the movies and you have to address everybody, or if you just have to convince 3 people that the movie you want to watch is the right one to go to. As I said, I never talked about voting before on this platform, and I hope you found it interesting. I hope it inspired you that wherever you live, and if you live in a democracy, that the next time when you have a chance, cast that vote. Every vote counts. I, for myself, will fill this out right now and make sure I send it back so it's in time back home in Switzerland and that my voice is being heard and counted. And with that, D. Dave Kurt out.